Hello everyone, it's June and welcome to the new week, the new month of Double Cross Anime. So we're back after a month break. I'm Mario and with me as always is Whooper.
That's me.
So this week we're gonna take time to cover all the material that we missed from last month. Specifically, that's gonna be episode 4 to 8 of Sarah's and Mind, 4 to 8 of Carol and Tuesdays, 5 to 9 of Fruit Basket and Mix.
Right.
Right, you have any like introductions you wanna say before we get into those 4 episodes, Cooper? The 4 shows.
Introductions?
Yep.
Nope. Just good to be back. And sorry we took such a long break, but we needed a little vacation.
Yeah, well, I have fun. I just went to Europe to watch some movies, but a lot of movies actually.
Like 40.
37.
Right.
So yeah, it's been fun, and now I'm back to my normal mundane life with anime to catch up.
Same here, except I didn't go to Europe, so it was just mundanity the whole time.
All
And
right,
I
so
didn't catch up with anime.
well, you watch them like every single week.
Not really. In preparation for this week, I watched one episode of Sarazanmai per day.
Huh.
So I wasn't
Yeah.
watching. I wasn't watching it the whole time. Yeah, I mean, I made that decision consciously because I wanted it to be like somewhat fresh in my mind because that show's a headache sometimes. Just to keep everything straight because it's so strange.
All right, so we do have a lot of material to cover. So, which show you want to start first, Cooper?
I don't know. You can choose.
All right, let's go with the middle of the range. Karen Tuesdays.
Okay. Is that the middle? Is that the middle for you?
That's the middle for me.
Okay. Why can't I scroll? There we go. All right, I'm on my Carolyn Tuesday note page.
All right.
So how?
Episode
Go ahead.
4 to 8, 5 episodes. A lot of things to cover.
Right. So how exactly do you want to do this? Do you want to just like start by talking about episode 4 and see where we go from there, or just talk about your overall feelings about the show so far and go
I
from
think
there?
I think I will talk about my overall feeling, and then we will come down to just like what been happening from 4 to 9, from 4 to 8.
Right. Okay. Well, you said this one was like middle of the range.
Yep.
So what? I guess that's your overall feeling. Why what about the show is feeling middle of the
All
range
right.
ish?
Um, I will say that it doesn't have the ambition that I'm looking for. Especially this is a show from Shinichi Watanabe.
Right.
Um, at the same time, though, I still think that each episode is entertaining. It's like it doesn't have like the details, a lot of details, but like it's like the TV show that you always watch on the televisions. Like enjoy your time, so don't think much about them after it finish. So it's kind of that feeling for me at the
Okay.
moment.
Yeah, I guess I agree. Yeah, this show doesn't have. I mean, most to be honest, most anime do not leave like a lasting impact on me.
Mm.
I forget most of them pretty quickly. I guess Carolyn Tuesday is another one of those for me. And yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not. You hear Bones, you hear Shinichiro Watanabe, you
Mhm.
think, you know, Dream Team. This is gonna be the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
Obviously, it wasn't that, and I think that was pretty clear from the beginning.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I mean, one of the big weaknesses of the show, the biggest, is probably just the characters themselves, the two main characters, Carol and Tuesday.
Well, I agree. Yes.
They're just like, I don't know. We just seem to be kind of swept along in their musical adventures and their fated path towards this 7-minute Martian revolution. that they talk about at the start of every episode. In the span of these 5 episodes, we've gone to them trying to put together, like a really crappy music video, to
Mm.
playing their first gig for 10 people, to
Yep.
playing literally festivals and like planetarily televised reality shows.
Yep.
And like I don't feel as though we have a lot of time for their normal lives, which is the mark of a lot of Watanabe series, is that we get involved in each character's like regular life, because they're
Well,
they're all like road shows. We follow the characters on a journey.
yep. I don't really I don't really looking for to see them in their normal life. I would love to see more of Karen doing her side job though. But like I'm also okay with the format of them, like doing on the journeys, like you said.
Well, it doesn't feel to me like they are on a journey. It
Yeah,
just it just feels like their music career is happening to them.
yeah,
They're not headed anywhere.
that that exactly the impression I got. Like they just like swept away to whatever, like the whatever tide is turning. They just swept away by that. And one of the so I don't really like the two characters right now because I think they just kind of function like the same entity, the same people.
Well, how did
You know,
you, in
yep,
light of that thought, how did you feel about at the end of episode 7?
yep,
Um, that was the one where they auditioned for the reality show, and that's the first time that Tuesday hears about Carol's backstory.
huh,
She was an orphan.
yep.
She was brought up in like a refugee camp.
How do I
Um,
feel about that? You say?
well, not how do you feel about that, but the conversation they have later on in the episode when Tuesday is talking about, like, "Oh, I never knew this about you. I feel like, she seemed to be feeling like guilty and like disappointed with herself and kind of insecure. Remember when they were sitting on that
Yep,
bench by the river? How did you feel about
yep.
that conversation?
I like it. I like to see more of that. And I think this is one of the few times that the show actually address its issues that like Karen and Tuesday actually don't have much of the conversation to each other,
Yeah.
especially about their past. So that one scene is like a step into the right direction for them, and I would love to see more of this dynamic because frankly I don't see like they expecting any like special dynamic to each other.
Yeah, it's true that most of the scenes that they're involved in also involve some other character. Usually
Yep.
Gus,
and
Roddy.
and usually that's the side characters that outshine these main characters.
Yeah,
Like for
Gus
its
does seem to be like, he might get more dialogue than they do, honestly, in
yep,
some
and
episodes.
and they actually the one who pushed the story forward. It's good. It's Roddy who are the one who suggests all the things that the girl they want the girl to try. And
Right.
even like in specifically in episode 4 the side character the robot, the
Yeah.
director robot, he actually like outshine every other characters.
I know you watched Space Dandy recently.
Yep,
Um, did you notice that in episode 4, Idea, that AI robot is watching Space Dandy on his phone?
yep, yep,
Yeah. And he's watching a scene with QT,
yep, that's
who is a
QT.
robot with a similarly like vocoded voice. And then he actually came back in episode 7.
Oh yeah, for the
Idea.
audition.
Yeah, for the audition. Yeah, yeah. He's trying to find a new way to con people, I guess.
He's nice. He's a good character. And
He's the best. He's best
and
robot.
even like in the latest episodes where we see like all these um all the audition talent, um they play the performance, they spike many like their own personality in there, like we can address that later because it's in episode 8. But for me, like the show at its best now when it can showcase the characters' personality through their appearance and through their songs, to their performance. So I really enjoy in those.
Well, speaking of showcasing songs,
Yep.
my favorite of these episodes was definitely number 6, the
All
festival
right.
episode.
Hmm.
I mean, I had an issue.
Yep.
The main issue that I had with this episode was that it was ridiculous that the girls were performing there. Like it made no sense at all. That
Yep.
they would be the backup for like this unreliable drunk heavy metal musician.
Hmm.
Even though Gus has this connection with what's his face? What's the guy's name?
His
Hefner.
friend. All right. Have enough. Yeah.
Hefner, who was introduced in episode 5, the one where like Gus and Tao both pitch their singers to the other guys.
Yep.
But in episode 6, he like Hefner's like, okay, you guys can be the backup for this gigantic, like the biggest music festival on Mars. So that makes no sense. So the premise of the episode is flawed. But this is the episode where we get Skip and Crystal.
Yep.
And I loved both of their performances. I thought they were
I
great.
I think Crystal is more of like their version of Beyonce.
Yeah, she definitely is. And the song was really good.
Yep. Unbreakable. Hey.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you hear that voice or you hear that word, and you think, oh no, it's gonna be some like pop anthem about self empowerment.
Hmm.
But I thought it was a little better than that. You know, it was like there was a story being told in the chorus that it was about like two people both getting over heartbreak by meeting each other and learning to rely on each other and love each other. And it was the other thing that was interesting about it was that like Skip's song was about unrequited love, not getting over somebody, and hers was about getting over someone and finding someone new. So there was kind of a story being told about their two characters
Hmm.
in their songs. And they both took an interest in Carol and Tuesday. You know, like Skip before he went on stage, they end up in his trailer somehow,
Yep.
and he's giving them sage advice, like don't let go of your
Yeah,
spirit.
but that's one of the things that I think doesn't work for the show benefit, because I think the show had been very easy on these characters, on the titular characters.
Has been
Like
easy on them.
easy on them. By that I mean like when they do the performance, which is basically every episode, and they instantly like win away people.
Well, that doesn't happen in episode 6.
Uh, well, they still win the Skip and Crystal.
Yes, that's true.
So I still think that I actually agree of like the judge comment on the episode 8 that their performance is like the plainest out of like all the performances, and I actually agree with that.
Well, but the judge also makes a comment that like what's unique about them is that they don't use AI for songwriting.
Well, mm,
She says that right after she says that they're the most plain. Like in terms of presentation, they're the most plain, is what she says. They don't have a gimmick like OG Bulldog who sings opera with a trap beat in the background.
that's actually pretty good.
I mean, I would have put him through probably just on the basis of his his strangeness, but then they had to get his grandma on there
Yeah.
to debunk everything. But I want to say one more thing about episode 6. The main reason that I loved it was because Skip is voiced by Thundercat,
All right.
who's a jazz bassist who often works with like Flying Lotus,
Yep.
who has a new album out right now. So there's a plug for that, and he also produced that track for Carol and Tuesday.
Wow. Right. I
So
heard about him. I have never listened to his music though.
it's cool, man.
All right. Hmm.
You can check out Flying Lotus. You can check out Kendrick Lamar's album To Pimp a Butterfly. Thundercat is featured on there. I
Yep.
think Kamasi Washington is a like kind of new
All right.
school, I guess, jazz artist who often collaborates with Thundercat.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good stuff.
All right. Um. Yes, I will listen to them.
I mean, you can if you want.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, episode 6, they're like, it's a miracle that they're on the stage in the first place. I mean, but they do get booed and like get beer cans thrown at them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like that their performance in that episode sounded appropriate. Like it sounded as though it was playing live. It wasn't a
Yep.
glitzed up studio version that we heard in episode 3 of the washing machine song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
But
you could hear the nervousness in their voice.
yep. But to its advantage, like all the music in Carol and Tuesday so far has been pretty solid. Like I don't really find any song that I outright hate.
I
And
mean,
they
I have, but
all right.
that was
Which one?
like in the past. The washing machine song from episode 3. I
All
thought it
right.
was just totally
Yep. Yep.
gross.
All right. Because they have like a wide range of genre as well, especially
Yeah.
from the match practice now, where like every contestant have like different genre in them. They
Yeah.
the one by the internet sensational what his name
P-
Pyro
Piotr.
Piotr. It remind me a bit of Justin Bieber.
Yeah, he's supposed to be somebody like that. I mean, a boy band solo artist type of deal. It's like it's like a it's not dance pop exactly, but it's pop music about dancing.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah,
So
his bit in episode 8 was my favorite just because of the animation.
yep, the animation was really nice.
Yeah, it was crazy how many man hours were put into that, like, to achieve that effect.
So like in general, you want to see more of like their life, their everyday life of Carol and Tuesday, right?
I mean, it's kind of too late for that. The
Yep,
show had an opportunity to go that route at the start. We saw
that's right.
Carol hoverboarding to work, and her job sucks, and she gets fired all the time, so she's job hopping because she's never committed. She wants to do something with music instead. And like, for example, the brother Spencer, um, kind of functioning as a private investigator and like tracking Tuesday down in episode 5.
Yep, yep, yep.
He sees her performing and realizes that she's happy doing what she's doing, so he decides not to
Pursue.
pursue it any further. Yeah. I mean, that story just stops right there. So
Yeah.
the show is kind of like ridding itself of distractions so that it can just like put them on stage at festivals and put them on television. And I would much rather see, a more even mix, or for the show to just have, taken steps in a different direction and not have them be these rising stars. Like,
All right.
it's the
Yep,
show uses montages a lot.
that's
It
right.
it hasn't. It didn't in episode 8, I don't think, because that was like very much a show within a show. It was rigidly structured as though it were a reality show. But it
Mhm.
does use a ton of montages to kind of like give us a sense of their everyday lives in shorthand. And I would rather have those be focused on,
Mhm.
you know. So I don't like where it's choosing to put its emphasis all the time.
Yep. I like the time where their attachment have been power out because of because I think Caron didn't pay the bill. I like
Oh yeah.
I like those details, and I like to see like uh they concentrate more on that. So I agree with you on that. I don't like the just the montage of like they doing their just like few seconds they doing their normal life. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. One more thing that I want to ask you is how do you like how do you feel about Angela Egg?
I was wondering if we were going to talk about Angela. Yeah. I don't know. She just seems to be kind of unrelated to the main story. All
I think
it's
she
hard.
will be
Yeah.
relevant now. I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna see her perform next week, most likely. Um, and she was acting like a real stuck up diva
Hmm.
to her her new manager, her personal assistant, whatever that girl is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I can sort of understand why they pushed her to act like that. Apart from that being her personality in general, because the episode previously, episode 7, we're seeing that her relationship with Tao is kind of fractured, and
Hmm.
there's the reveal that her father, her mother, whatever he or she is supposed to be, is was like abusive towards her in the past. But
Yep.
we don't have enough details about the abuse or um, just what the deal is with her mother's like androgyny.
Hmm.
Because her mother has a very deep voice
Well,
and
what
was
if
pictured in that photograph
that's
as a
right.
man.
That's right.
So I don't know what the deal is there. I mean, I don't think it was like a simple sex change. I think there's
I
something else going on. I don't know.
all right. I just think that's the that yeah she is trans. That was supposed to be
I don't know because I remember reading the bios of the characters, the biographies before the show came out, and it
right.
said something about like Martian androgyny.
Hmm.
I don't know if that means it's something like kind of biological
Yep.
or if it's like part of the social life or the cultural life on Mars. I don't really know like what the deal is. We don't have any concrete details on this, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Everything is just like very subtle hints right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe her mother, who was once a man, was like abusive towards his or her children, and like maybe in an attempt to become a different person, or maybe upon discovering that she was actually a different person, like decided to.
All right.
Um,
She mentioned that she was sick at some point. I think
she was sick.
she is sick right now, so that's why Angela need a new manager. That's why she couldn't become her manager anymore.
No, I thought she couldn't become her manager because Angela was like, "No, you're not going to be my manager."
All right.
And
Well.
she doesn't want her to be in her life really. There's the scene in episode 7 where
Mhm.
she's like, "No, I can't come back and stay with you at home." I and then
Yeah.
she goes into her apartment, lies down on the couch, and is like, there's like really moody music playing in the background. All the lights are off.
Hmm. I think we will see more about that in later episodes. That I think that is like the some of the loose end that's gonna be addressed in the future.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully so. But even if they do, I don't know how big the payoff is going to be because her character isn't, for 8 episodes now, she
Hmm.
hasn't been that impactful.
Well, no one have been that impactful. I
Well,
would say that Carol and Tuesday aren't that impactful either.
oh, what about the two 99-year-old twin grandpas? I would
Well,
say
they
they
might,
had a lot of impact.
yeah, they they leave a lot of impact. Yes. How do you feel about the new characters? Samuel.
Oh yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know.
How how do you think she's gonna fit into like the narrative?
I have no idea.
What role she gonna play in the future
She's just gonna be like a crazed fan.
of this
Um,
day?
yeah, of Tuesday specifically. You know,
Mm.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't even really care.
All right. Yeah. How do you feel about the gig, the performance in the bar with like 10 people watching?
I can't even remember what it sounded like. I thought it was pretty good. I do remember one specific detail about it. It's like, I can hear the song now. I can hear it in my head.
Oh,
I do remember that each girl had a different verse,
yep. Hmm.
um, which was nice. And then like in the third verse or the second chorus, like a later part of the song, as the song was winding down, the two verses they sing over top of one another.
Hmm.
I really like that like trend or that that technique in songwriting when you've got two verses by two different singers who are like overlapping them.
Yep.
Um, and where I know I wrote this down. Damn it, where is it? Okay, yes. The two verses. Carol's verse is about finding the one, perhaps
Uh,
more romantic in nature, while
yep.
Tuesdays is about finding the way home.
Hmm.
Um, so I assume that to mean, finding like a new home, her own home, where she will feel comfortable,
Yep.
not
Yep.
finding her way like back to her controlling mother.
Yep.
And then Carol's is more perhaps more romantic, so there might be something going on with Roddy or one of the other characters who she meets. I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe she'll get together with Angela.
Yeah. Maybe Angela, or maybe Tao.
Yeah,
We,
or maybe
we,
Angela's mom
yeah. Well.
or dad, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Well. I now that you mentioned that, I do think that maybe Caron might see someone in the future, like
Yeah,
evolve with them romantically.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that song, if you could take their two different verses as being indicative of like the two paths that those characters will follow going
Mm.
forward, then hers is going to be like perhaps more romantic. And I think that might be, I mean, not that romance is a solution for like a lonely upbringing or anything, but she was orphaned and she
Hmm.
did grow up alone. So I'm sure that somewhere within her there's like a need to find someone who she can like really connect with. And Tuesday fills that role for her to some degree, I'm sure, but you know, she
We
might be looking for romance in the future as well.
Right. We don't really see that though. So we know about their circumstances, but we don't see like how. I don't even know that how Karen would think about that. So, like I think she mentioned at one point that she think that's just a normal way of life.
What's an?
So
Oh
she
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah,
of being an orphan,
right.
but
She hadn't even thought of it as being anything different.
yeah. Well, so I would love to see more about like what they think about their life, or what more about their backstory, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I agree, but I don't know that it needs to be backstory specifically. I think that if you involve them in their own story, like in the present,
Hmm.
then information about their pasts will come out of that.
Yep. Yep.
Like they'll
That's
involve
right.
them in conversation with a new character, let's say, and you're going to learn something about them. Even if like they don't go into any details about their past. You're going to learn about who they are and how they became that person just by
Right.
seeing them, go about their life.
Yep. Yep. So that what I want to look for in the future. Um, do you have any other things on the notes that worth mentioning?
No, I mean probably, but we've already spent about 27 minutes or something
Yep.
on one show.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna spend like half an hour on each of the show, I think.
I don't know. I kind of feel like for Fruits Basket and Mix, we might spend a little less time.
All right. So
It's just my hunch.
one last question I want to ask you though. I already gave the my general impressions on current Tuesday. So what is your verdict?
I think it's fine.
Yep.
Um, I honestly just want to see Skip and Crystal perform again. If the show, if if the show just forgot about Carol and Tuesday and it became about Skip and Crystal, I'd be like anime of the
Thrilled.
year.
All right.
I don't know, it's fine. I kind of like watching it every week.
Well,
I'll probably watch the second core.
yeah. Well, I don't mind the music. I don't mind about the music. I don't mind about the journey that I have. It provides a lot of fun. It just it lacks substance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay.
All
It
right.
just seems to be, like two girls kind of whimsically making their way through life. We get very little of the nitty gritty,
Yep.
But maybe that'll come in the second half because you don't learn everything in Watanabe series. You don't learn everything about the characters right away. You don't get all of that up front.
Mhm.
So maybe there'll be a little bit more to chew on as we go along.
Right. All right. I think it's time for us to head into the next show. Uh, what do you want to choose between mix and fruit baskets?
Um, I don't know. We can do mix.
All right, let's do mix. I want to do mix.
Okay. Why do you want to do mix?
Um, this is the show that I actually looking forward the most every week.
Wow,
Uh,
really?
yeah. Despite the fact that nothing really happened in those episodes, I think the story is itself is a bit pad out for too long. But at the same time, I think this is the right pace. And at the same time, I think I just enjoy every moment of it.
Nice.
So
You probably
here you
like it more than I do.
so here you go. What your impression on these episodes?
My impression is that, like, where can I just rewatch Cross Game? Can I just do
I
that?
I would love to watch Cross Game.
Well, Cross Game's a lot different from this.
All right,
Oh shoot, I gotta plug in my laptop. Here, talk about Mix real quick for like 15 seconds while I do that.
all right, yep. So the last few episodes, we go through a lot of like time skip between them in the middle school into now they are well in the in grade 10, and we see like they doing all like get used to the new club, having the new coach and playing like the first friendly match. So yeah, I'm still waiting for the big things happened.
Well, I
But
mean,
that is to say that I'm really enjoy what been happening so far.
I think one of the big things was their transition to high school. I mean,
Yep,
the
yep,
show kind of like glosses over it a little bit. Um,
a lot.
yeah, and that's one issue that I had, right? Because the in the prologue, it's first of all, it's not even made clear that it's a prologue, which I actually like. Because
Mhm.
life doesn't have like chapter markers or
Yep,
anything.
yep,
But one thing that made it like glaringly obvious that it was a prologue was that we started with the boys in their second year of middle school
yep,
when the coach is favoring Nikaido,
yep.
and we
Hmm.
learned that Nikaido is ill. He's sick. He's got some kind of heart condition or some sort of something. I don't know if they ever
Yeah,
specified what it was.
it's heart condition, I think.
Yeah, and they thought it was like he thought he wasn't going to survive the surgery,
Yep,
but he does, which is great.
yep,
Um, so then we move on, and like Toma becomes the starting pitcher in his final year of middle school, but the entire thing is like just skipped over, and
yep.
we learn that he slammed his hand in a sliding door, which is why they
Hmm.
didn't make it very far in the Tokyo tournament that year.
Yep,
That's like literally that's like the excuse the show provides, just so that it can move on to high school.
yep. I don't even know like the significance they have for this for having that prologue, because like Nikaido he would never play baseball again, and
Right.
yeah, and I don't know. I think it's better be skip, but like I don't know. I still enjoy those.
You know what? I hadn't even thought of that. Like you didn't need necessarily to start the story here. You could have
Yeah.
just started it in high school and had the quote unquote prologue be like their first year of high school, and then you know
Yep.
when they're in 11th or 12th grade, then you get the Koshien run where they try to go really far.
I think the significance of that prologue is just that basically the Tachibanas claim, especially show, claim his number one number. He just it's his number one
Yeah,
slot.
but we don't even see once he gets the number one slot. That entire year is skipped.
Yep.
It's I was like, I mean, I'm not even that frustrated with that decision
Mm-hmm.
because we do need to get to high school to get the ball the ball rolling,
Yep.
but like that's so goofy. And to be
Yep.
honest, that's one of the issues, perhaps the main issue that I'm having with Mix is that the show is like extremely winky. That
Winky.
that might not be a very good word, but it is constantly winking at the audience.
That
You know the
yes.
start of episode 9 where they're like, as ever since the dawn of this country, men have always like looked for opportunities, and it's about the like the wind blowing and skirts being blown up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
remember that.
the show is acknowledging like institutionalized sexism, which is why all the female uniforms involve skirts, um, and like all the men of like the shopping district and the neighborhood, they all right before it cuts to the song like the OP, they're all like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what are you doing on this fine day? You gonna go buy a bucket? Oh yeah,
Yep.
me too. But gotta water the ground, stop the dust from getting kicked up. Oh, you're also buying a bucket? Hey, what a coincidence. Me too.
Yep. Yep.
That that's just like it's
I
it's not just that, but the show is just like having a little bit too much fun with itself.
that's right because I have noticed um the amount great amounts of the fan service in the show.
Hmm.
By that I mean like sometimes they would show underwears and on these like situations, but the tones is really different from like on these other fan service. So I'm not really sure how to make of them because it's in essential they are fan service.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Uh,
think it's just because the show introduces it and then moves on right away.
yeah, but they don't seem to pack any punch there. That's right.
Yeah. Um,
So I don't know how I just don't know how I would think about this fan service.
yeah, I mean, I apparently this is this guy's style. It's Adachi's style,
Is
and
it
he's
yeah?
well, I guess so. I mean, Cross Game wasn't like this. Cross Game was
Oh
a
right.
lot more, a lot slower, more dramatic. Um, you
How
don't have
about
characters like tearing up and crying every episode. It's not like that kind of anime drama, but it
yeah?
also doesn't have this lightheartedness, like this playfulness where there's a narrator who's kind of commenting on everything.
Yep.
There's like really
Mm,
peppy music featuring instruments like recorders and xylophones
yep.
that
Yep.
just
Yep.
are getting on my nerves. There's no like in episode 8, for example, we learned that Nanchan, like the big, um,
Captain guy.
no, not the captain guy, the kid with the little
Oh yeah
mole
yeah yeah yeah
between his eyes and the little fangs on either side of his mouth.
yeah 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 yeah.
The one who idolizes the coach.
That's right. Yep.
Um, he's like he saved my life. He's talking to the Tachibanas because he's at their house about the coach. He says he saved my life, and he looks out the window. It was raining on that day too. He says
Mm-hmm.
very dramatically. And then in a later scene, the coach says, he's thinking about the same thing. He looks out the window. It was also raining on that day. It's
And
And that's something that
Yep.
anime tends to do. It like weather will trigger dramatic flashbacks. So Mix is satirizing that. It just everything that it's doing, it seems to be like having too much fun with
Yep.
for me.
And there's no flashback whatsoever, and I think that's the point.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny.
yeah.
Um, but this is just not what I'm used to from this guy. And I think at times it works to the show's detriment, like the constant sniping between Otomi and Arisa
Yep.
during the baseball match. Like their characters are so irrelevant to what is going on. Like Arisa especially, she's just the younger sister of
Well, they are
that.
both young. They are both younger sister of the Ace pictures. So I
Right.
think that that work for something.
I just don't know like how much value Arisa has as a character.
All right. I
She's just like remember that whole thing about her being like number 2 in the popularity poll or something of all
Yep.
the girls in Meisei Middle School,
Yep.
that kind of thing, like popularity polls. I don't personally, I just don't see a lot of importance there. Um, Maybe their rivalry will evolve somehow. I
Yeah.
mean,
But
assuming that we get to like 11th grade, we move a year forward and they join the high school and everyone is like there in a centralized place, that might um, change some things up.
yeah, I think that would make sense. I think that make more sense. That um she gonna be in the future. So she not just like one off character.
Yeah, not just a rival. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
she's
Oh
not
well,
even a
well
rival. She's just kind of like a mild annoyance.
she gonna be a constant rival to Otome. That's what I think. Maybe she will like become romantically interested in one of the product. Maybe.
That could be, I guess. Just have a gigantic like love
Yeah.
octagon between a million different characters, including this new guy like Akai-kun,
Yeah.
um, who is like the number one hottest dude at Meisei Middle School.
Yeah. The soccer ace and
Yeah,
what else?
that was one of the things. Maybe the thing that I loved most about episode 9 was like, Otomi goes across the road and is gonna like take him to the hospital just to like, because she's acting very motherly.
Yeah.
Um, and Toma sees that, and he's just left with his dog and his like poop bucket.
Yep.
And he says to the dog, "Well, even if you have to make a big dump, don't worry, we're gonna be covered." Like that's the kind of humor that I want to see. It's a
Yep.
character like masking their insecurity or their
Yep.
disappointment with humor, rather than the whole show, like the entire script, kind of being painted with a like a funny brush.
That's right. That's
I
right.
just like those smaller instances.
And I just love all these small like it changes between the products and between them with Otomis. They are all really really good. Like remember on just the latest episodes where the older brothers he smiled at show for the first time. I think.
Is the older brother, isn't he?
Oh, is it show it is older brothers?
Yeah, the catcher is the older brother by like 7 minutes.
All right, so, sorry, that showed,
So
and
short
it,
short for Soichiro.
yep, and the other one was Tomai, right?
Right.
All right, so show actually just smiled at Toma for the first time when he missed one of the I think uh when he was out.
Yeah. Why does he smile at him though? Exactly.
I think it's because he just acknowledged the other guys, which is Mita.
Right.
Uh, when he getting like serious on the last pitch because he want to have like a perfect game.
Right. So he can show off to his little sister.
Yeah, yeah. Who was gone by that
Right.
time?
Yeah. I think that what So was smiling there because he was in a certain way he was empathizing with his younger brother.
Hmm.
Or I mean, they're not technically brothers; they're stepbrothers, I guess.
Hmm.
But that's close enough. Like they, they're both very talented. They're both very talented, so they recognize talent as well. And that smile is kind of, to me, that's kind of like a wry smile. Like, oh, we may be hot stuff right now, but we got beaten today.
Hmm.
We still have a little ways to go.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of small exchanges that are loaded with more meaning between the main characters, I think,
Hmm.
than is like evident on the surface.
Um, they also introduced like the last member of the core cast, which is Haruka. I
Right?
think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty obvious that she will become like show's love interest in the future.
Or it could be Toma. I
I
mean,
I
she
I
in episode 9 she yells from the school stairwell like, "What's going on? How's Toma doing?"
I think to my eyes is set on his sister though too.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, but that's the thing. In episode 7, there's that conversation between Haruka and Otomi,
Yep.
where Otomi says, like, which one of my brothers is your type?
Yep.
She's kind of she's kind of feeling her out, you know,
Hmm.
and that's not made clear by either of the characters or the script. It's not made clear that Otomi is like trying to figure out who Haruka is like, really interested in.
Hmm.
It's lighter, in their conversation than it really is, I think.
Yep.
And then Haruka's response is, "Oh, are you worried?
Yep. Yep.
Are you
Yep.
worried that I'm going to steal one of them away?" She doesn't say, you know.
Yep.
So the show is leaving a lot of possibilities open.
Well, I actually I make up my mind. I make my mind ready for that. So I just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah. But it is Soichiro. It's who meets her
Have a
first.
crush. Yeah, and have a
Yeah.
crush on her.
Oh, he definitely does. Yes. And who can blame him because she is voiced by Hanakana.
All right. She have a really special voice.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not totally happy with the casting because
All
Haruka
right.
is like a girl next door type of character.
Mm, all right.
She's like the beautiful neighbor's kid.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Um, and I like Hanakana best when she voices like
The
you know,
timid,
char-
cute.
no, 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 actually.
All right.
That's the role in which she's often typecast. But I like her best when she's voicing characters who are like a little bit crazy, or
Huh.
who, like for example, the main character in Princess Jellyfish.
Yeah. I was thinking of her right now.
Yeah, Tsukimi.
Yep.
Um, like when you get to hear her being more expressive, and that's why, like, just expressiveness in general. That's why I liked her as Hina from Sangatsu so much,
Yep. Yep.
because
Yep.
there were a lot of opportunities for her to be extremely expressive and like really dramatic. And I don't know how much of that muscle she's going to be able to flex as Haruka, who is mostly just very good natured and supposed to be very pretty, you know.
She actually voiced one of the characters in Monogatari as well. I
Oh
think you
yeah,
know that, right?
I do.
Yep.
Yes.
That'd cool.
Yeah. She's the from the fourth opening, the one that's like really famous.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Renai Circulation, I think, is the name of the song.
That's right. Even like her latest song is actually pretty good as well. In the same franchise.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know about it, but
I will send you the link for you to hear. That is a good song.
okay. Yeah, I don't really know how I feel about Haruka's character. I mean, more participants in a potential love triangle shape
I
is fine, I guess.
I would say that in the future, especially in the next episodes, there's gonna be a saga between Haruka and one of the brothers. I
Damn,
think
a
short. I think that's
saga.
short. I
What are you basing this on the next episode preview? I didn't watch it.
Yep. I'm based this on the next episode preview.
Oh snap! Okay. Well, I mean, I would love to see more about like Haruka doing rhythm gymnastics. You know how she's waving that. I mean, I'm being totally serious. You know how she's waving that the
Yeah,
flag
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when she's yelling across the street to Otomi.
Mm,
I would like to to get a little bit more of like her story. You know, some information about her as a character by giving her her own set of things to do, rather than just be really attractive.
all
Um,
right.
so like a little more about her would be cool. The
Um,
brothers are fine. I would like to return to Soichiro's like his desire to be a pitcher. I thought
yep,
that was actually very beautifully explored.
yep.
Um, in what episode? What episode was it? I guess it was before any of these. I think it was like episode 4 or something,
Hmm.
where he's playing catch with his stepdad, and we learn very neatly, very naturally that he really wants to be a pitcher. I'd
Yep.
like to come back to that eventually.
Mm.
What else?
That was his stepdad, right?
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
his true dad, all right?
Toma is the father's son,
Yep,
whereas
yep.
So and Otomi are the mother's children.
Right, got that, got that.
Yeah, that's what makes that scene for me. Is that
Mm.
it's his stepdad, not his real father who's passed away, but his stepdad who knows this about his new son. It's very touching, for him to be playing catch with a child who's not his own,
Mm.
and to know this about him, this very personal thing, is very, is very nice.
I think that make the best of mix so far for me is that the dynamic between every member in this in the family and actually every member in the cast is so vibrant because of all the small moments.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's kind of different from Carol and Tuesday in that regard.
That's
Like
right.
in
Yeah.
Carol and Tuesday, we get the small moments, but they're only like on the larger path to, you know, whatever stepping stone to superstardom they're on at the moment. The small
That's
moments are
right.
just like Carol putting on, or Tuesday putting on those glasses, to hide her identity. That's like a little small moment between
Yep. Yep. Yep.
her,
Yep.
Tuesday and Carol. Like, quick, put these glasses on.
Yep.
Whereas Mix is just comprised entirely of those small moments, even in the middle of a baseball game.
Right. That's right.
As one brother, strikes out and is going back to the dugout, the other one's coming up to bat. They share a quick glance, or one of
Yep.
them says, "Oh, you're not setting a very good example for me as the older brother by striking out."
Yep.
Just
I
something
e-
like that. That's just a small moment. That's part of.
I even like the two A's. Remember Chan?
Yeah.
The like one of the hit that he got was just like just borrow the string from the beach.
Was what?
So he just borrowed the force
From who? From the
from
beach?
no from the pitcher, from the guy who sent the balls. So basically, like he's always the power hitter, but on that moment he just do something completely different, and that tell you a lot about his personalities.
I think we have different subtitles because I'm not. I mean, I remember the moment where he was sent in as a pinch hitter, um,
Yep,
and he fouls off a ball,
yep,
which is one of the first moments where somebody on their team makes contact, and they're like, "Oh man, he fouled it off, but he hit it."
yep, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I don't. I'm using Eri Raws.
I'm using the other ones.
Horrible
Alright.
subs or Kami.
Horrible stuff. Horrible stuff.
Okay, I've been using Eri Raws. I mean, I assume they both rip from the same place, but Horrible Subs at the start of this show, they were using like the dub track.
Huh. Right. Huh.
So you may be reading the dub script.
maybe. All right.
which is fine, I guess. I'm sure we're both getting the meaning of most scenes, but
Yeah.
I do not
Yeah,
really remember what you're talking about,
no,
like
no,
specifically.
yeah, yeah. So my point is that even in that small moment, we can see his personality through the way that he hit the ball.
Oh yeah, like he crushes it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
goes foul, so it's not as though he's like um, the strongest player or the most straightforward character, but he
mhm,
he does have a lot of power, even if it's like misdirected or misplaced. Yeah, which is kind of what his character is all about.
mhm.
He's a big guy who's you know who's
How
who's mindlessly like following this coach and is totally dedicated to him, even though the coach is kind of a goofball himself.
how do you think about the gag that he always gets scared of the bug?
Right. I don't know. I honestly I didn't think too much about that. It's kind of an expected trope, right? Like the big hulking guy is actually like very kind of shy and soft-hearted.
Yep.
Um, he sees the bug and he falls down.
All
It
right,
it was fine. It's kind of funny.
right. So what do you expect going to be happen next in mix?
I don't know. I mean, according to you, there's going to be some sort of date going on or something between some kind of
Yep.
saga, in your words, between
Uh,
Haruka and So.
yep.
So, I mean,
Uh,
I guess that's cool. Get to hear a little bit more
but
Hanakana.
all right, but we are in episode 9 already, and
Yeah,
I don't know like how this gonna be like in is it gonna be on call to call? We don't know
I don't
much
know.
about that yet, right?
I have no idea. I'm just watching along for the time being.
All right. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot to happen, and I don't know if we will e- ever get into those.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, the manga's still ongoing. We'll see.
Yep.
I'm just taking it one episode at a time for the time being, or two. I mean, I got to blog both of these 8 and 9, so
Yep.
2 episodes at a time, kind of. Um, but it's fine.
Yep.
I like the show, but it's not my favorite. It's not the one I look forward to the most each week.
All
Um,
right.
yeah,
Because
so I was very surprised to hear you say that because there's an Ikuhara show airing right now.
because for mix, I really like the like I told you before. I really like the chemistry between the small moments between those characters. So I hope that cross game have that as well.
Oh, it does.
All right.
Um, the
So
the
I
the tone of the show is what's different, I think.
yeah. So I think I will bow to really love that show whenever I check it out.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna when I eventually revisit it, we'll see if it's still my favorite. I've been rewatching a lot of stuff recently from the last decade, and there have been some shows that I've completely changed my opinion on, like 100%.
Wow, wow. Huh.
So,
That's nice to hear. I want to hear more about that.
well, you will
At
in
at
one
the
month,
yeah, at the end of this month.
right?
All right. You have any other thing on the nose?
Yeah. I mean, there's more. There's always more, but
Yep.
we're good. We're at that hour mark almost.
We can get 1 point.
What's that?
No, no. I mean, we can. You can address one of the plot, uh, not point
Oh,
that you have.
okay. Hmm. Okay, we did not talk at all about Nishimura. He's from episode 5, and he tries to recruit the brothers for his high school, which his dad coaches.
All right. Yep.
You remember this guy? He has a crush on
Yep.
Otomi,
Yep.
whatever.
hmm
Um, and in that episode, we learn about two high schools: Seinen High School, which is where his dad works,
hmm
and one other, Kenjo High School, which was once called Sumi Tech, which is the school that Meisei faced in the Koshien 30 years ago.
hmm
So when in touch. Um, so those two schools are probably going to be significant, and that's the moment when Toma like throws a few pitches, with his dad there, with Nishimura's dad. the coach, when he's kind of like blown back by Toma's speed.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep. Mhm.
that's for me. That was the moment when like it was made very clear how talented this guy is, and I mean we see it in the comparisons between Toma and what's his face in the most recent episode, Hiroki.
Mita.
Yeah, his
Hiroki,
last name is Mita.
alright.
Another cool thing that happens in episode 5. Do you remember at one point, like early on, Toma's frustrated with the fact that he's not being made the starter, and he's like, "Well, maybe I just won't go to Meisei for high school. I don't have to
Yep,
go to Meisei necessarily."
yep,
Episode 5 was the one that kind of put a bow on that because Toma gets kind of pissed off whenever someone is criticizing Meisei.
yep. They say it, that's right.
You know,
Even
go ahead.
even though that he know the school suck right now, he
Right.
just can't stand people talking bad about that
Yeah,
about the
it's.
school.
I guess we're supposed to feel that it's like in his blood, or just that he's meant to pitch there. I mean, they grew up across the street from it. Um, his father was a pitcher at Meisei, which we learn in a flashback in episode 5. Though he suffered an injury. And I mean, that was one of the main things I appreciated about episode 5 was that it actually took time to address that feeling that existed in his character, because they do get the chance to go and essentially audition for another high school because Nishimura wants to like team up. So he and another coach does watch him pitch. You know, this is his opportunity to like maybe get his foot in the door somewhere else. But even given that opportunity, he decides, no, it's Meisei for me.
Yep. Even his coach, even the coach, the father, who when show question him if he gonna accept the brothers, it's gonna be difficult for his son to be number one in the school, and does he accept that fact? He actually doesn't.
Who? Toma or the coach?
The coach.
Yeah.
He,
Well,
he
at first he's like, "Oh no, he's not going to start. He's an underclassman."
Yep.
But I'm sure that he and everyone else at this point knows that Toma is probably the right pick. Even the other pitchers are like, "Have you seen this kid pitch?
Yep.
We're not going to be starting. What are you talking about?"
Right.
All right, that's. I mean, that's about it. We
All right.
we passed we're at we're an hour and 3 minutes now.
All right. So let's get to the next show then. Let's get to the show that you despise the most.
Yeah, the one that I am really not. I'm not about it.
All right. Fruit basket.
Yep.
All right.
But you go first, man.
All right. I think the last few episodes, so like the last 2 or 3 episodes, it have been stole. So like it does something to expand the cast, but um, I just think like especially the episodes 8 where where the two of them have where the cat and the rat, what his name Yuki and Kyo had to go back to the Zodiac banquet for New Year, and they decided not to go because they care of they
Oh
are.
my god, dude.
Yeah, well, I think that is fruit basket at it was because it uh I, because I just think that it is utterly unnecessary, and it actually spiked like a wrong impression as well.
Wrong impression.
I mean like I just don't like the message that this episode in particular trying to sell.
What's the message?
The message is that like you will have to abandon your duty in order to stay with the girl you like.
Ah, yeah.
Um, it a bit self-indulgent for me. It feel as if the author really love their characters, so that they just want them to spend a good time together,
Well,
regardless of everything else.
she wants him to spend time together with Toru.
Ye- Yeah, she want the boy to spend time with Toru, regardless of everything else.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like an idea amongst anime watchers that, like, you know, shonen harem series are really dumb and you know stupid, but shojo reverse harem series, now
It's smart.
those are some quality. But I mean, just judging by this adaptation of Fruits Basket, they're equally, for me, they're like equally stupid. Um, yeah, episode 8 was just like, why am I watching this?
All right.
It was so repetitive. I mean, that was the main issue that I
Yep,
had with it. Was
that's
like
right.
the constant flashbacks, the hand wringing from Kyo and Yuki. Like they're the entire episode, they're just like wondering about, is Toru going to be okay when if we leave her alone for New Year's? Is Toru going to be all right? And then they leave. Is Toru all right at home right now? Did we do the right thing by leaving her at home alone? And then they decide to go back. Are we going to make it in time? Is Toru going to be okay? You know, how is she doing at home alone? I mean, we get like literal internal monologues
All right.
constantly from these two characters, like obsessing about her state of being. And then they get home just in time. They bust through the door, and like they literally wipe away a tear from her eye.
Yeah.
That's the culmination of all this repetitive
Yep.
uh, worrying.
And the thing is that we actually see that before in episode 5 when Toru come back to her foster families and her real family, and we will see on those bit before for a better effect. So for
Um,
me, that
yeah,
episode was really good.
episode
Oh, it's
5.
5. It's not that really good, but like for whatever they want, for what they want to sell, they achieve it.
Yeah, I mean, you can say it's really good. It's fine.
It's
Um,
a,
I don't. Oh yeah, I do remember episode 5. That well, I mean, episode 5 they kind of played the same events twice, once before the
yep,
commercial break and once after.
yep.
Like
One through Toru Eyes of View and one through the other two.
right, and I mean, I think it was important that we get at least part of it from just the brothers' point of view, so that they could see Toru, um, explaining her feelings. Like you know,
That's
she
right.
doesn't want to be thought of as ungrateful, um, but she wants to stay with the Somas.
Hmm.
You know, you need them to see her say that on her own, like of her own volition, so that when they barge in and like quote unquote rescue her, it's not just them being like controlling and essentially kidnapping. Uh, you know, because she does make it clear, and they see her make it clear that that's where she wants to be.
Hmm.
Um, so you know, I think the structure of that episode was okay, although it was repetitive, and that I mean that's not to repeat myself when talking about repetition, but that's one of the main issues that I'm having with Fruits Basket. Like this shit feels padded.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I go ahead.
I think the main reason is that the show so far focused too much on the three main characters, and they don't spend enough time to expand the cast.
I would just
Um,
love to know more about the Soma clan. Like this banquet, this super exclusive, important once a year banquet that was
yep,
going on in
yep,
episode 8
yep.
that the main characters abandoned in favor of just like going home and checking up on Toru.
And they
Uh
actually glossed
sh-
over that as well.
yeah, show me the banquet.
Yep.
Like what are you doing? She got to
Uh,
visit the Soma estate in episode 7.
yep.
But the majority of that episode was dedicated to
Haruto.
yeah. What oh Hattori.
Oh, Hattori. Yep.
Right. There's Hattori, and then in the most recent episode, There's Haru, the
Hatsuharu,
cow.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, Hattori's flashback in episode 7, about his tragic past. I thought that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we don't like even though they're at the Soma state, we don't learn that much about the Somas. We learn about Akito,
Mm-hmm.
and that he is like extremely possessive, jealous, selfish, childish, cruel, like a super villain. But of
Yep.
course, he's probably gonna have some sob story in his
I
past.
yep. I think we will eventually learn that. But I also really like, not really, but I also like the episode 7 and 8 because I think it's like the change of scenery. So one of them, I think, in the school festivals, and the other one was when she come to the that's 6 and 7, sorry.
Yeah.
So 6 and 7. So the first one is when they are in the school festivals, and the second one when Toru come to the Shoma clan. So I think that that change of scenery make it more interesting, because when they come back to the Shoma house, it just become repetitive.
Yeah, I mean that's an issue I have. Is like Toru keeps talking about how she has so much fun with the Somas and she wants to stay with them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, what are they doing that's so fun? They're just hanging out and chatting, and she's making food for them. Like she already works her ass off as a student and as a custodian at a hotel. What is so fun
And
about coming home and making dinner for these assholes?
and 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 one of the things that I noticed is that when she went shopping in the supermarket, she went alone and the guy just stay outside. What the heck? It just so traditional. It just so old. It just remind me how old this material is.
That didn't even register for me. What episode was this?
It's just the recent one. I think 8 or 9,
8 is the
maybe.
one with New Year's. Was she like
So
buying
9.
groceries for New Year's?
So 9. I
No,
remember. I remember strongly that she buying a grocery night at the
it was
beginning.
episode 9.
Yeah,
The
at the
one that
beginning at night.
introduces Haru, the cow.
Yep. So when the two of them having, when Yuki and Kyo having like an argument,
Outside
always
the
having
grocery
a
store.
yep.
Okay, I don't remember this at all. The only thing I remember about episode 9 was that Yuki is a cow, and he's basically just the male version of Kagura.
Haru,
Yeah, Haru is basically
yep.
just the male version of Kagura.
And I don't think that Haru characters is good. I don't I
Well, we already met his character just with the different gender like 5 episodes ago.
he he actually like one of the thing about him is he have like two different personalities. So the light Haru and the dark Haru, and I don't really find any of the Harus to be interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about it is like his character is supposed to be kind of explained or justified or you know um, we're supposed to have a reason for accepting the light and the dark sides of him based on that flashback.
Mm-hmm.
He was teased as a kid and stuff, and that made him develop a dark side. But then Yuki, there's a scene between he and Yuki in the past, and he just what is it that Yuki says to him, like, oh, you're not really stupid, right? That's just what people say about you. And
He didn't even say that.
wh-
He just said like, is that what people say when he talk? He would tell the story about people said that he's stupid, and
Yuki
and
says,
you
well, are you?
are you, yeah, that basically it.
How on earth is that supposed to like revolutionize someone's life?
It
I don't
changed the whole perspective. I don't.
I I don't get it. I mean, as a child, which Haru was at that time, like if someone tells you that you're dumb and you're a kid, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, I'm not.
No. No, no I'm not. No. No, that's what you're gonna do. I mean, if it's coming from like your parents or something, then yeah, you might internalize it, and that might be really damaging. But I just don't get how like Yuki is this amazing like shining man who is like curing people's damaged self-image. Even as a young boy, he's like making all the difference in everyone's life. I just don't get it. Like the symbolism of the rat riding on the cow's back or the ox's back, whatever he's supposed to be.
Yep.
Um, and that being a reason for like the friction in their relationship originally. That doesn't do anything for me.
Yep.
Uh, I don't really get it.
All right. Do you know that Fruit Basket gonna be 3 course, 26 episode per core?
Well, a core is one season.
So yeah, I mean 3 seasons up to core.
Okay, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like that. So
Okay.
there will be a lot of materials to do. So I think I understand why there are some very put out episodes like the 2 episodes which like the episode 8 that we have.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Wikipedia entries on the 2001 adaptation and the current one, they're proceeding at around the same pace.
Huh. All right.
They're only like one episode off from each other.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I am assuming that the manga is just written this way.
Right.
You know,
Well.
with pages and pages of like the boys thinking about Toru and wondering like what she's up to and stuff. And then Toru herself to me is like a very, you know, she's always like, "Oh no, I'm not anything special. I didn't do anything special. No, I don't deserve all this praise." You know, like the show is bending over backwards to make her, you know, like she's supposed to be like very humble and
Yep.
self-denying and is always taking care of everyone else. But I mean, the show is taking care of her, is making
That's
her the glorious, you know, the glorious female lead. I just, dude, I'm not getting it at all. I feel watching the show, I feel like I usually do when I watch a really dumb shonen series.
All right. Should we move on to the last show?
Well, we didn't talk much about episode 6, which is the cultural festival one, and it really focuses on her friendship with the two
Oh.
girls.
Right. We can talk briefly about that.
How'd you feel about that one?
I think it's alright. I think the two girls, the two of her friends, despite having like a different personality, are still function as a supporting characters. So they have never raised more than just Toru friends who always look fun of her and look after her.
That's the issue that I have with them actually, is that they
Yeah,
just seem to be Toru's friend number 1 and Toru's friend number 2.
And that was right at the beginning. That was like that right at the beginning.
What you mean of episode 1 where she goes to school and
like the friendship is already established between them like that.
yeah, well, I mean that would make sense if we're joining her like midway through the school year.
Yep.
She's gonna have hopefully she's gonna have like 1 or 2 friends.
So
But I mean I just we don't know anything else about them. Like the Wave Girl, for example, is just whenever she's in a scene, like she's doing wave stuff,
yep.
like ESP stuff. She's the one who guilts the brothers who are on their way to the banquet into like heading home. She's like,
Yep.
poor Toru, she's all alone.
Yep.
At this time of year. I don't. I mean, one of them is like a blonde delinquent type character, and the other one is like a dark haired kind of brooding comedic character. They're both very distinct, but I don't really see them filling a role outside of being her
Total
friend.
friends. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
I
agree.
mean, I don't know. I think I would like it if they did.
I don't think they will ever cross out to be to be something more
Well, I
because
mean, apparently there are going to be like 88 episodes or something.
y-
Eight
yeah,
78.
but I think like the majority of time will be between Toru and the Shoma's Zodiac's characters.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. I kind of like the delinquent girl.
I got it.
Um,
I actually like the other one. Prefer the other one.
you like the weird,
The
dark-haired
wave.
one.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that she's like constantly going on and on about waves. Like that just seems to be too much of a gimmick to me.
Right.
I do. There was one little detail about the blonde-haired girl in episode 8. Like she was at home on New Year's and she gave Toru a call. She called
Yep.
the Soma house and was like, "Hey, how are you doing? I'm just checking in." And she was like, her dad. Her dad was drinking and she was like yelling at him. You know, you said you were only gonna have one. Put that down. You know. So I wonder if maybe she's like from a home where the dad is a drunk.
Yep. I do think so. Yes.
I
And
wonder if that'll like crop back up at all.
do we necessary do we learn more about their families her family situation? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, why include that detail if you're not gonna revisit it? You know, it could have just been a simple conversation between her and Toru, and we don't see anything else about what's going on in her house, but
Yep.
we did.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would hope that if you're writing your manga series or adapting it to anime, that you would only include the details that are pertinent that you plan on following up on, or that will inform your show somehow.
Mhm. All right.
I mean, I honestly expect him to go back to that at least once, based on the
Oh.
way it was introduced. But you know,
Yep.
I could be wrong about this too.
Yep. So maybe in the future we will learn more about the father characters. Maybe.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about that guy for someone who may or may not come back.
Yep. For the guy that we don't even see his face. Do we see his face?
We do, yes,
All right. Yeah. All right.
pretty sure. I mean,
Right.
my favorite of all these was episode 7. For me, it was like far and away the best. So that's just how I'm feeling. Is like most of them, not a big fan. Episode 7 though was pretty good for me.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's get to the last show, Sarazamite.
Oh yeah.
4 to 8. So, Sarazamite split into 2 acts on these 4 episodes.
Hmm.
So the first act ends at episode 6.
Yeah, episode
Where-
6 is the one that's like super different.
Yep, where the trio had to save
Haruka.
Haruka. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, it's the first one where they're not in pursuit of like Kappa Zombie Shirikodama. They're just trying to
Yep.
rescue somebody.
Yep, and I think up to that point, it was pretty good. So I can see like the complex relationship between Haruka and his older brothers, and I see like the guilt that Kazuki has. Like I enjoy a lot, but for the last 2 episodes, I think the show had been slowed down a bit.
Okay, has been slowed down.
Has been not quite relevant.
I see. Okay, go on.
I think especially episode 7, where I think that it just start the new act, so that we see like the 3 of them in their most in their most happiness. They in the most harmonies. So they
Well,
just like do
that's how
everything
we see
together.
them, but we
That
know that that's not really the case because of the memory leak at the end of episode 7.
that's right. And one thing that feels strange though that for me is that entire the memory leak of entire have having him acting, like not dramatically but more like a goof.
Yeah, and in episode 8, he was also like all of his facial expressions were super exaggerated.
Yep.
Um
I don't know
I
how to
mean,
make of that.
I think they're trying to earn sympathy for him before his death. You know,
Do
they're
you do you think that's an actual death for him?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Hmm.
I kind of doubt it.
Right.
I mean, the rest of the show might be about them getting the dishes in order so that they can wish him back to life. So he might actually be dead, and they're going to use the dishes to bring him back.
That makes sense. That makes
Yeah, I
sense for
mean,
me.
that's my theory. There you go. Sarazan Maya has been solved.
um, for me though,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why his facial expressions were so cartoonish, you know.
Mhm.
And even in episode 7 at the end during the memory leak, we see him with like a really like a kind of a tricky looking facial expression. Kind of reminded me of Ratman from Gegege no Kitaro.
All right.
Um, he had that sort of that sort of cunning look on his face, and then you know he would like blow up at every little thing when he was going around town with Chikai in episode 8. Um,
Hmm.
because I mean, one in addition to the show trying to keep him, he's just created this like somewhat villainous act. Like he's made himself a thief.
Hmm.
So the show needs to keep him, um, you know, it needs to keep him sympathetic before his death. It doesn't want to create a villain out of him and then kill him off. Um, so I mean, I think that's what they were up to. But also all the stuff that he does with Shikai is kind of like a bit of a side story, like kind of a Gaiden. Um, so it's gonna feel a little bit different, and that's one way that they can make it feel different is not not overplaying the drama and just
Hmm.
keeping everything a little bit loose and ridiculous.
I think I like the jealousies factor that Enta have for Kazuki. Um,
Yeah, and the reason he's jealous is because Kazuki is getting closer to Toy.
yep.
But what did you make of that? Like to me, Toy like Kazuki was all of a sudden he was like really good friends with Toy.
Hmm.
That seemed to happen very quickly.
Mm,
How about you?
well, no, no. I think I don't think it's happened quickly. I think it just like the right length, the right amount. The,
Well, you would acknowledge that Toy is like kind of at the start he's kind of the odd man out. Like
yep.
he's the one who's jacking cars and threatening people with like sharpened rulers,
Yep.
and you know he's like the bad boy and stuff. Um, episode 4 is the one where we learn that in his past he shot someone and probably killed them.
Mhm.
You know, his brother comes in and takes responsibility for it.
Mhm.
Well, you know, looking back on my notes here, I guess episode 5 is the one where Kazuki and Toy kind of team up to kidnap Sarah,
Yep.
the
Yep.
idol.
Yep.
Um, so I guess from that point on, they do seem to get along a little bit better. You
Yeah,
know,
but
maybe to Enta's exclusion.
right. I don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure with the connection between Toy and Kazuki. I don't know if that's gonna be become um, romantically involved, and
I doubt it. I mean,
I doubt it too.
maybe. Oh, you know, that's actually something I wanted to bring up. Like one of the interesting things, there's sort of a love triangle going on because Enta is in love with Kazuki, but there's a moment where Toy is shown to
Blush.
like, yeah, he's like blushing when Kazuki is dressed up as a woman.
Yeah,
So Toy is
because
probably straight, but there is some weird romantic interplay going on between the three of them in that case.
I, I think that the show is heading that way. I'm not sure how to make that though, because now with anti out of the picture for now, it's become like different story altogether. So like Toy and Kazuki have to work their way in order to get the this sense of hope again. To say,
Well, yeah, I mean maybe, but Toy in the post credit scene, Toy is on the boat and he's not taking Kazuki's call.
yep,
I mean, by the end of this show's moving pretty fast at this point for me.
it's
'Cause
it's episode 8 already, so it's gonna be only 3 more episodes.
yeah, I have to assume that by the end of episode 9 he'll be back in town. That's my
Ye-
guess.
Yep.
Like I would
What?
really have loved to see a 26 episode version of this, but that's probably just Penguin Drum.
Yep. And the flashback between Toy and Kazuki, when Toy gave Kazuki a Mikanga, I don't really like that though.
Yeah, I saw that in your blog post.
Yeah. So like the main reason is because I think it rely more of the of fate, and I don't think that fate have uh because like the main theme is Sarazama is connection, and I think fate has just doesn't benefit that theme a lot.
Well, that's actually something that I wanted to have a conversation about. Do you think that this series is actually living up to its promise of
Mm,
like featuring connection as the main theme?
I think it's all over the place at the moment.
Yeah. Like, because Ikuhara in all of his series, he wants to talk about not just one thing, but a dozen things.
Yep.
Like this show is, as with his previous works, it's obsessed with people who are like on the fringes of society, whether they be quote unquote sexual deviants, whether they be criminals, because there's always like, the Kappa zombies are always criminals. Um, it's there's like a whole war going on between Kappas and otters
Hmm.
in the background, which is coming more and more to the foreground with the revelation that Sarah is a Kappa. Um, she's seen in that strategy meeting, I think, in episode 8,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
where they're both like talking about Rio and Mabu, the otter cops, and they're like recognizing that they're active in town, and then they have that anti-otter weapon which cryogenically freezes people. Do you remember this scene?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that scene. Yes.
It's so strange, like it's so weird. The the folklore surrounding kappas and otters being their enemies, so that's playing a big role. It's commenting on sibling relationships a lot. Like just the idea of connecting with people or connecting with someone, I don't think is like really in focus here.
And I think Kappa has like the Kappe, the prince. I think he has some sort of like really weird eyes lately, like his eyes are way like burning red.
Oh yeah, well they're doing that in order to draw a link between him and, in the post credit scenes of episodes 6 and 7, we see that like the ruler of the Kappa
Otter.
kingdom
Yep. Oh, right. Yeah.
has those same red eyes. So I think that's supposed to be his father,
Hmm.
the king. Um, in episode 6, you see that he's he goes like darkness.
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like some evil foreshadowing surrounding whoever that is. Like it could be Kepi, but I think it's his father because he's the prince, right? So there must be a king.
Yep.
Um, and then you see in episode 7 that they have the king or whoever that is with the red eyes imprisoned.
Hmm. I don't
Um,
remember that detail though.
okay. They, for a couple episodes in 6 and 7, the post credit scenes were dedicated to that. Um, But in episode 8, it was something else, right? Oh yeah, it was just Toy on the boat.
Yep. Um, so I think like the last two episode, it's just all over the place with the theme and a bit of the story. So by that I mean like Rio and Mabu.
Right.
They they get into the like they directly evolve into on action right now. But we see like the two side of them. One of them is when Mabu um he apparently he died
Yeah.
and
During the assault on the Kappa Kingdom, before the events of the series.
huh, and now he become like a different persons. So I'm not really sure how to think about this. I just mean like I can get behind. I can feel sympathy for either of them, especially in the later episode when they just go on the street and killing random people.
Well, they're okay. Killing random people. You mean the gang member who's
Yeah,
trying
the
to get
gang member.
revenge for his fallen brother.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though. Like I saw you post about that, but the otters are the villains of this series. They have been from the start because all the Kappa zombies they've killed.
Yep.
Like when you in the meeting, like at the police station where they're talking about the recent murder victim.
Yep. They're already
Um,
dead.
yeah, they're already dead. They killed them by extracting their desire
Decide.
and making them into the Kappa zombie. They left behind a corpse, and that's why they have that little um, that mask over their face with the
Yep.
Japanese character on it because they're dead.
Mm.
So they're like they're out here killing people and manipulating them and trying to like reshape the entire world, put everybody at risk just so that they can do what exactly? I can't remember. Why do they
I
need to extract desire from people? What exactly does it
I
gain for
think
them? I can't
I
remember.
think I think they want to do some sort of and they want to create some sort of energy out of the desire or something.
Right. Yeah, they're supposed to harvest the desire in order to like they need it as a power source for something else. I don't remember. I actually think that there was a little bit of detail about that in an early episode, but I forget.
Right. I don't remember very well either.
I mean, it's hard to remember. This show is not exactly straightforward, even though it did for the first 4 or 5 episodes
Yeah.
follow the specific formula of the with the dance sequences and the field of desires. You got to turn into kappas and everything.
Mm.
It has broken away from that at this point, though.
Yeah.
Mostly.
So for me, I was a slightly bit disappointed because it's really I feel that it's all over the place right now and it's hard for me to make it like to think to get all the detail and put them into like systemically how everything gonna be together.
Well, you can't approach an Ikuhara series that way.
No, I
You
don't
know.
think so. But yeah, but sometimes it's some of the events just seem random to me.
Well, I think that'll all be sorted out in the end.
All right.
Hopefully, because they are pushing the war between the Kappa Otter War more and more towards the front of the series, even if a lot of it takes place in post credit scenes um, in or pre OP scenes, like as in episode 7, where uh, it's set underground in the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the train. Damn it, the metro,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like the underground, the metro, where Mabu is like talking with the some kind of otter guy, like the head of their science and technology division, who was the one who gave him that mechanical heart.
yep, yeah, yep, yep. I
And
remember that.
even from the very beginning of the show, we've seen that his heart is mechanical, because during the dance sequence between the two cops, He like extracts his heart from him,
Right.
which I think is foreshadowing because at one point the otter, that science and tech otter guy is like, are you if you're not happy with the way he is now, you're gonna have to kill him a second time. You're gonna have to like take his heart from him. So maybe that's what's gonna end up happening in the end somehow, is that like Rio is gonna go rogue because he's not happy with Mabu's new form. I don't know. There's like a lot of questions surrounding those two characters. But one thing that I do like is that there's a parallel between Rio and Mabu and Kazuki and Enta, because Enta's been shot, and Kazuki is going to have to, like, perhaps in some way he's going to need to like give up his life to save Enta. You know, like what I'm predicting is that something terrible is going to happen to Kazuki that he could use the dishes to fix, but instead he will use them bringing Enta back. And something similar happened between the two otters. You know, in the wake of the assault on the Kappa Kingdom, when Rio wakes up in that room with like the IV tubes attached to him, and he talks to the science and tech otter, he's like, Are you willing to give everything up in order to save him? So somehow Rio made some sort of sacrifice in order to bring Mabu back in this new form.
But the thing is, I don't think that Kazuki is really that attached to Entai. I would understand if Entai does that, like give up everything for Kazuki. I don't think the other way around will work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Enta does seem to be the least fleshed out of the three boys. And but in episode 7, they make plans to like become the golden combi again, you know, like the golden duo.
Yep.
So I mean, their friendship was once a lot stronger than it is, and they seem to be going back to that for a while. But then, you know, Enta betrays them. And I mean, honestly, I just feel as though in the wake of his death, you know, Kazuki is going to be like, oh man, I need to save him, you know, because he's dead. I have to save him. Episode 11 episodes is not a lot of time, and you know, not every character relationship is going to be golden. Yeah, I kind of understand what you mean. Yeah, their relationship doesn't seem to be that strong.
But that's an interesting theory. So we will see like how this gonna pan out.
Yeah, I wonder. Do you remember any details about what exactly Rio had to do in order to bring Mabu back? Because the science and tech otter, like the black otter with the red trim, you know, the red outline.
Yeah.
I think he says something to Rio about like, you have to bring him back. Like he's given the choice to revive him.
Yeah, I don't remember that very well. Maybe more killing. I don't remember the detail.
Yeah. Oh, there's also a parallel between Kazuki and Haruka and Rio and Mabu, because Kazuki, actually that's the stronger of the two, because in episode 6, Keppi asks him, are you willing to give up your Shirikodama in order to save him?
Yep.
So perhaps that's what Rio has done. No, because when you lose your Shirikodama, you lose your connection to the world, and you're like erased from existence. So that's not what Rio did, but he must have sacrificed something.
Yep.
And Kazuki almost does give up his Shirikodama in order to bring Haruka back. But then, you know, the three boys, they work together and they figure out how to do it in another way. And I really loved after they get out of like the Otter's secret base, you know, which they had gone into in episode 6. I love that Keppi was like covered in bandages because they'd been kicking him like a soccer ball.
Yep.
I like a lot of the sight gags in this show.
Yep.
they're very wacky. Like especially episode 8 as well, where Cuppy gets cryogenically frozen because she
Mm.
accidentally kicks him into the machine when she sneezes because she drops all the pepper,
Yep, 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 yep.
and then he gets frozen, and then she's like, "Oh no, well, gotta go record my show. See you later." I think the show's humor is still strong. There's
Right.
lots of like little details like that I like.
Mm.
The grape lollipop showing up on the wanted poster
Yeah, that's right. Mm.
for Chikai because he's just given it to Enta.
Yeah, that's
That
right.
seemed to be like a very Ikuhara thing to do.
Mhm.
I can't pin down exactly why, but that kind of tickled me.
So it seems like you like Sarazanmai more than I do now.
Yeah, I mean, this might be. I really like it so far. So this might be my favorite Ikuhara of the decade, depending on how
Uh,
it ends.
all right.
I do like. I'm kind of mapping out what series I want to rewatch. You know,
Yep.
I
Mm.
don't know if I'm gonna have time for Penguin Drum, especially since I know it's gonna be like a headache when I do it.
I think it's gonna be rewarding if you do it.
I don't know,
No.
dude. Like there were some episodes that just felt totally pointless to me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, like completely a waste of time. Um, so I don't know if I really want to do that. I might, you know.
Right. All
I
right.
I kind of want to because I want to see how it compares to this one.
Yep.
Since a lot of the same creative team is apparently working on it. Um, but
I
you know, whatever. I'm liking Sarazanmai so far. It's definitely the one that I look forward to the most.
Yeah. I think I'm have fallen off its wavelength for the last two episodes, but hopefully I can like the next episode gonna wow me over again.
Well, you know, maybe, but it has committed to the Enta dying, possibly needing to be revived. Um, the Otters of the Villains kind of track that you seem to have fallen off of.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
there is set to be at least one more big change to the status quo because they do have like the Kappa King in captivity, I believe. You know, if you want to check out the post credit scene of episode 7 again, if you still have it downloaded,
Yep. I
um,
I, I will check it out.
yeah, that might you can see that I think there's still another villain or like another major player who has yet to be revealed or yet to come to like the forefront of the show.
Mhm.
So that at least will be a little different than everything we've seen so far.
Right. All right. I think that would cover it for our podcast this week.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Next week we're gonna back to normal schedule, which is for show, uh, for next week, and we're back to the classic shows, um, which is
Future Boy Conan.
Future Boy Conan. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Uh,
we gotta get that bad boy done so we can move
yep,
on to something else.
that's
I
right.
mean, I shouldn't say that exactly. There's still plenty of episodes left to go of Conan,
Yep, yep, yep. That's right.
and it's pretty good.
Yep. So far so good. All right.
Okay, I guess we're done.
Yep. Thank you for listening, guys, and we see you again next week.
Bye bye.
All right. See ya.